Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Prim back with another video, and today I will be reviewing the movie The Void. So, let's get right into it. I heard good things about this movie last year. I watched a couple of reviews on YouTube, and majority of them had the same narrative. They were saying that the movie was complex, they didn't understand the story, or the story was all over the place. So before I watched that, I kind of had that in my head that was the deal, which was fine because they also said there were some good points in this movie as far as the practical effects, and it was like, really good. And I don't mind, movies like that. I'm heavy in horror movies. I like all genres of horror movie. You have your slashers, your D movies, your gory movies, and your slow burn type, thriller type horror movies. But anyways, back to the topic. So I'm watching this movie, and after I'm done watching it, I'm saying to myself, this movie was not confusing. It was a really simple script story. It was straightforward. I'm not sure what they're talking about. Maybe they jumped on the bandwagon. It wasn't that deep. It wasn't too many subliminal stuff going on. I caught some of them, but it wasn't that heavy. It wasn't like Prometheus. It was nowhere near Prometheus, and that shit was confusing. I had to watch it twice, and even when I finally got it, I understood that the way they convey that story and try to give it to us, the audience, was too complex. Sometimes you can outsmart yourself. But back to The Void. I really enjoyed this movie. I am recommending this movie. I will get into it, the story right now. Basically, there's a cop who comes across this guy who is wounded. He ends up going to a hospital, which I love this part, that's shutting down. I love when they have horror movies where there's some type of facility like a police station or a hospital or whatever, and they're shutting down because it's set to premise on where everything's gonna go down. And yes, it takes place in this hospital. And plus, it's a low budget movie, so it makes sense. Because there wasn't a lot of staff. It was a handful of actors, and you could tell it was like a low budget movie, but it wasn't cheesy. And they really used everything in there to the best of their abilities. The shots, the camera, even the acting was good. One thing that stood out that I disliked was the sheriff's wife dialogue. There was one scene when she got in this guy's face, and I was like, you know what? They could have just left it on the editing floor. It was a little bit too much. Let's get right back to it. Basically, like I said, the sheriff brings this wounded guy to the hospital where his wife, I'm not sure what the situation is, but they're not on the best of terms. And he feels some type of way, but he's more of a laid back type of dude, but he's in his feelings. And they don't really get into why they're at odds with each other. The wife is very, I want it my way or the highway. And she does have a heart. She's like a humanitarian, always want to save everybody no matter what. And I guess that's why she's a nurse. But in this situation, she was like, what we doing with it? You had a sheriff in there that knew the cop, the other sheriff. This older gentleman. And they wasn't on the best of terms, which was fine. And I like that little conflict right there, Also, the guy that was brought in there by the sheriff, he was being chased by these two other men who were aware or familiar with this situation. So everybody's in there. You also had like this Asian sister in there. She was like a nurse or something like that. I think you had 2 or 3 people waiting in a waiting room. That was funny because if this hospital is shutting down, it's not even a skeleton crew. It's like 3 or 4 people. Why even waste your time? Just go somewhere else. But they was in there, and of course you had the doctor. The doctor ended up being what I expect him to be, the mad scientist. He put me in the mind of the Reanimator. Like, this movie had some of the Reanimator. This movie had some of John Carpenter's The Thing. It had a lot of that 80s feel, like, Fifth Dimension type demons and cults where these cult people run around with these claws on and stuff that's around the hospital, and I really enjoyed it. I see where they was going with it. It's like a retro throwback, which is fine. So I don't understand what was the hard part of this movie, what people didn't understand. I mean, when the doctor got to his other form, he kind of explained it. And why he even got into it, well, of course, I think if his daughter or somebody, his family got hurt. And as always, people want to bring their kids back. So he dabbed into like black magic, the cult, and all this stuff. And there lies the void. This is how the void comes in, to our dimension of Earth. And it's like a back and forth thing. So all these freaky animals or demons, wherever they are, come out the void. And it's cool practical effects. I like stuff like that. It's very gory with certain scenes, but it's not to that. It's like a low budget in between the thing and the reanimator. So it's like a hodgepodge. Like if they had a baby, this is what it would be, the void. Another thing that I enjoyed was how it ended. Now the sheriff and the wife were at odds, but they finally came together, but they ended up on the other side. Now they're in a different dimension. They're in the void, wherever that is, this other dimension. And I think that was cool. I thought how they put that together was really nice. So you can make a part 2 and have them survive and work together by really getting along and hashing into what happened for them to get to that point where they're just estranged from each other. But I think that would be cool to see the void too. But overall, I really enjoyed it. Storyline was simple. Practical effects and gore was great when they did show it. Could have been more budget. Hopefully, if there is another 2, they put a little bit more budget in the whole movie and just do a continuation. I can see this to be a series if they do it right. So if anybody tell you don't watch The Void, watch The Void. Don't avoid it. This is your boy Prim, and I'm out. Peace.